Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to give you the update and the latest on the Reo Hatate and Liel Abada contract situation. Of course, we spoke about this last week, that Celtic were aiming to give new deals to both of the star players. However, there is a few bumps on the road to getting them a new contract. We're going to talk about all of that today, so let's get into it. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. We're coming up to around 200 away from the 40k mark, so let's get it done. Let's get it dusted. If you haven't already, jump down below, hit like and subscribe. It's absolutely free, and we'll be doing a giveaway at 40k as well. So thank you all for the support. Let's keep it up. So we've had a bit of an up and down update on the Reo Hatate contract situation. Some bad news this morning on that front, which over the past couple of hours has developed into some more hopeful news in regards to him signing a new deal to stay at Celtic Football Club. Of course, him and Liel Abada were both at subject of new contract talks last week when the mainstream reported that Celtic were looking into giving out new deals to both players. I didn't expect to hear much from it until maybe after the transfer window shut, but over the past few hours we've had more updates. But let's go from what happened this morning and we'll catch you up to the most recent developments as we go on. So this morning, the Daily Record and other mainstream outlets posted headlines like this: Reo Hatate rejects new Celtic contract as star turns down deal amid major transfer interest. The midfielder has a deal which runs to 2026, and it's reported that talks over a fresh term have been turned down. The article goes on to say that he's turned down a deal which runs beyond 2026 and that discussions were over. But that has changed over the past few hours. There has been an update on that. It turns out that yes, the first deal has been rejected, but Reo Hatate, in his mind and in his agent's mind, see room for negotiation, and it's not over yet. It was then reported earlier this afternoon that Reo Hatate sees room for negotiation, and the Daily Mail and Stephen McGowan reported this headline, that Hatate has asked for Celtic contract talks to be put back until the transfer window closes, which gives us a little bit more optimism and a little bit more room for hope that he might sign a new deal. The article goes on to say that Reo Hatate could still sign a contract with Celtic. There is room for negotiation and talks will resume after the transfer window should he still be here. Celtic now have the opportunity to go and make a new and improved offer amid all of the transfer interest that has come up over Reo Hatate in the past few weeks and months in this transfer window. It makes perfect sense. I hope that he does put pen to paper and he does want to stay with the club. It will raise conversation as to whether or not we should just try and let him go, try and find a move for him. Should we entertain these contract talks? But I guess he's well within his rights to look for a bigger deal when there is interest out there. We've heard teams like Brighton looking at him who could probably come in and offer him a better contract and offer him more money. So he's probably in a good position where he's got the cards on his table right now. He can sit there and go, right, well, I will stay here. Just make sure you give me the money I feel like I deserve. I've been one of the better players here over the past year or so. This was all backed up by Sky Sports. Anthony Joseph reported this earlier on as well. He said that Celtic have opened contract talks with both Reo Hatate and Liel Abada. They're offering improved terms and extensions to their current deals. It's understood that Hatate has rejected the first offer from the club, but is open to negotiation. Talks are ongoing with both players. So there's no firm no's, there's no firm yeses on the table yet. We'll talk about Liel Abada in a moment, but I guess all the conversation today and right now is going to be about Reo Hatate. I can understand that a lot of people will be jumping in right now and saying, listen, if he doesn't want to be here, let him go. It's the attitude we've had over the past couple of years, and it's the attitude we should carry on with. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that that was a good attitude that we had under Ange Postecoglou, that if people didn't want to be here, then we just let them go. We got money while we could, and we looked what was best for both parties. However, there's nothing to necessarily suggest, and I know people have been conspiring over the past few weeks that he doesn't want to be here, but there's nothing in these reports here that necessarily suggests that Reo Hatate doesn't want to be at Celtic. He is leaving room for negotiation. The reports suggest that he's fine with talking to the club on an improved offer when the transfer window closes. And I think that's totally fine. You know, this is a young guy who has obviously got a very high ceiling in the game and has showed his worth and showed his quality over the past year and a half at Celtic Football Club. He can go on to do big, big things. And I think it's only fair for him to look out for the best of his career and see what options are on the table. And if those options on the table leave him here at Celtic when that transfer window slams shut in a couple of weeks' time, then I think that's okay to go back in and talk to him. I'm not going to suddenly be all sanctimonious and on my high horse and say, oh, I don't want him, he should just go, let him, move him out the door. It's for the best interest of Celtic Football Club to keep players like Reo Hatate around. As long as he's here to give it his all, which I'm sure he is, but he's of course injured just now. As long as he's here to give it his all, and if he wants to keep working to try and get a bigger move, then signing him in a new contract is nothing but beneficial to Celtic. It means that we've got him on an extended stay, his value's going to go up, and when clubs do come calling, and as early as maybe 6 months' time, we are in a very commanding place when it comes to asking for a transfer fee. Reo Hatate is someone who could, once again, beat records. Someone who can smash the transfer record that we've already set for someone like Jota. He is that good a player. So by extending this stay and giving him a better contract, I think it's a wise idea to explore that once again when the transfer window does shut. I don't find it disrespectful or annoying or anything like that he wants to wait until after it shuts. It makes sense. He'll have an agent in his ear telling him these things. He'll know firsthand that there is interest elsewhere. And listen, for me, as long as he stays at Celtic beyond the end of this transfer window, it's much more than I expected. So if it was to get a deal on top of that, if we were to sign a new contract for him on top of that, I'd be over the moon, quite frankly. And let's not pretend that he's not good enough and hasn't done enough to deserve a new contract and higher wages at Celtic. That's what happens when you start to attract this interest. You start to know your worth. And he knows his worth. And he knows that he should be on more money. And I think that's fair. Look, listen, this is where you've got to be realistic with it for a moment as well. If Reo Hatate signs a new deal, it doesn't mean he's going to be here beyond 2026. That's not what it means, right? He will still leave. It just puts Celtic in a much better position for when he does leave. There's more years on the contract to play around to get a bigger fee. And for me, he deserves it, you know. And if he's still going to go in a year's time, or maybe 2 years' time if we're lucky. But let's be real, he'll probably still go next summer. It just means we're going to get far more money. So whether he sees his future at Celtic or not, I still think there's far more positives than negatives in giving Reo Hatate a new contract. Now remember, as always, take everything with a pinch of salt. This conversation only really matters if what's been put out there is true, is accurate. So we'll need to wait and see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But Reo Hatate for me is a player we now don't have enough time to replace. We need a player of his calibre, and we need him around for this Champions League group stage campaign coming up. It would be a gutter to lose him. So yeah, beyond the transfer window, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the updates and developments are on the contract talks. I hope he does put pen to paper. If he doesn't, and he's still here, it's not the end of the world. It just means that Celtic need to start considering their options as to whether or not find a deal out there for him, move him on in January or next summer. Either way, I think we'll be absolutely fine, but I hope he puts pen to paper. And just to revert back to that Anthony Joseph tweet for a moment, he also mentioned Liel Abada, of course, who's also going to get offered improved terms and extensions to the current deal that he's on. Liel Abada, of course, in the same situation as Reo Hatate, with a deal that expires at the end of the 25-26 campaign, so it would be nice to tie him down to a longer deal. Exact same reasons, put Celtic in a commanding position, etc, etc. I don't need to go out and talk about that again. We've not had an update quite yet on his reaction to this and where he currently stands. I hope that we hear about that soon. I oddly have more faith that he'll sign a deal. I think these are the kind of deals that are going to include gentleman agreements. You know, I think that we're going to see something like that. I think that they'll both be told, listen, we know you, because they'll want to tie them onto deals that probably keeps them at Celtic till 2028, right? Which obviously for both of these players is not the aim for their career. And I totally respect that. I understand that. I'm not one of these ones who pretend I don't like it and all the rest of it. It's just what football is now, and sadly I accept that. I don't want to, but I do. I think that they'll probably be wanting to give them deals to run until 2028. Maybe 2029, but probably 2028. And I think that they'll probably say to them, look, listen, just sign the deals. We promise you, gentleman's agreement here. If a deal comes in, which we're happy with, and you like it, and you want to move to said club, we'll accept the offer, we'll let you go, but just put pen on paper for now, stay with us for the season. I think you'll see a lot of that. So I oddly have more faith that Liel Abada will sign a contract, even though there was all that talk for months that he was off this summer. He looks like he's going to be very key to what Brendan Rodgers is doing. He started the season fairly well. I think that we'll see him put pen to paper, but I'm not going to take any bold predictions for now. We're just going to have to wait and see. But yeah, we'll watch the developments as they come out. Right, that's about it for today. We are still waiting on some transfer news. I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not. Just, oh God, I can't take it. Right, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.